Yeah, I do. I use Lurpak on spreadable Lurpak on. I like a sourdough myself. I don't mind a cinnamon and raisin bagel either. Do you like that?
I do, mate. I'm a big fan of sourdough at the minute. Just two more. Garrett's the type of guy to smoke a cigar and pretend.
Ryan Garcia just turned down $500 million, and the men who built that deal are in complete freefall. Not a typo, not a rumor, not a negotiating tactic. $500 million. The single largest offer ever put in front of a boxer in the history of this sport. A number so large that when it first leaked, half the boxing world thought it was a joke. It was not a joke. The offer was real, the meetings were real, the private jets to Riyadh were real, and Garcia, 25 years old, coming off one of the most turbulent stretches of his career, looked at that number, stood up from the table, and walked out the door. The promoters who built that deal, they are not okay. Sources close to the Saudi side describe the internal reaction as something between shock and rage. These are men who were used to getting what they want. They have bought golf leagues, they have signed soccer legends, they have rewritten the economics of combat sports from the ground up. And Ryan Garcia just told them no. The stakes here are bigger than money. His career, his legacy, his relationship with a global power that was ready to hand him the keys to the next era of boxing. All of it gone in one afternoon. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what was in that deal, what happened in that room when it all fell apart, and why the move Garcia made in the 72 hours after might be the most important decision of his entire career.
Watch that comment. I love this life. I don't know if I'll do it forever, but I do really enjoy it so much.
I know and I rate you for this because I'll be honest, you've never stopped me from asking you these daft questions, and you take it on a banter, and I think people like that. So
It's fun.
You clicked this because you saw that number and your brain stopped working for a second. That's the right reaction. $500 million will do that. But here is the question that nobody is actually answering. Why? Why does a fighter who has been through everything Garcia has been through, the Haney fight, the suspension, the public breakdowns, the comeback, why does that guy say no to the kind of money that ends careers on a high note? Right now, most people covering this story are saying the same thing. Garcia lost it again. Garcia is self-destructing. This is the same old pattern from boxing's most polarizing young star. And that take is wrong. Not slightly wrong, completely wrong. When you actually look at what was inside that Saudi deal, what was buried 3 layers deep in the contract terms that got zero coverage, the decision to walk does not look reckless. It looks like the first truly strategic move Garcia has made in years, and somebody in that Saudi camp made a catastrophic mistake that accelerated everything. We went through every public statement from both sides. We tracked every detail that leaked from inside the negotiations, and we put together what people close to the Garcia team are saying about what really happened. In this video, we break down 3 things. First, what was actually in that $500 million offer and why the terms were a problem from day one. Second, what the Saudi promotional group did that made walking away the only option Garcia had left. And third, the move that Garcia's team made while the public was still processing the collapse. That third piece is what nobody is talking about, and it changes the entire story. Let's get into it. Before we get into the deal itself, you need to understand who Ryan Garcia actually is in 2025. Because the version of Garcia that most people have in their heads is not the current one. Yes, he has 47 million Instagram followers. Yes, he sells out arenas before the opponent is named. Yes, he is young, Mexican-American, and the kind of fighter that makes people who have never watched a boxing match in their life suddenly care about one. That part everyone knows. What people underestimate is how much Garcia has changed in the last 18 months. After the Haney fight, after the suspension, after everything that played out in public. The Garcia who sat across from the Saudi promotional group in that meeting room was not the same Garcia from 2 years ago. This was a fighter who had been through a war, not in the ring, but in courtrooms and press conferences and his own head, and had come out the other side with one thing he values above everything else: control. Control over his team, control over his image, control over who he fights and when and why. That is the lens you need to understand everything that follows. Now, the Saudi side. For the last 2 years, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been doing something that no single entity has ever done in sports history. They have been buying influence at scale. LIV Golf, Al Nasser, Al Hilal, the Premier League summer windows, Formula One race rights, and in combat sports, they have been the biggest spender on the planet. They brought Anthony Joshua back from the dead commercially. They put on Fury and Ngannou. They hosted Usyk Fury. Saudi Arabia is not a player in boxing anymore. They are the house. So when they decided they wanted Ryan Garcia as the face of their next boxing chapter, they came with a number designed to end the conversation before it started: $500 million. Across a 3-year promotional deal, guaranteed money, performance bonuses, media rights, the works. 6 weeks ago, everything looked set. The meetings were happening at the highest level. The promotional team had flown in from Riyadh. Garcia's representatives were in the room. Everyone on both sides believed this deal was 72 hours from being signed. And then one thing happened that cracked the whole foundation. And what was said in that room in the hours after that moment was never supposed to reach the public. Here is the detail that changes how you see this entire situation. And I want you to pay attention here, because this is the part that every major boxing outlet missed completely. The $500 million was real, nobody's disputing that, but a number on a page means nothing without the terms attached to it. And the terms attached to this deal were the real story. The Saudi offer came structured around 3 years of exclusive promotional control. Full stop. That means fight selection, who Garcia fights, is not Garcia's decision. Opponent approval, whether a fight makes sense for his legacy or his ranking, not Garcia's decision. Broadcasting rights, where his fights air and how his image travels across digital platforms, not Garcia's decision. For 3 years, every major career choice handed over to a promotional group operating out of Riyadh. Now, some fighters take that deal. Some fighters have taken worse deals and called it a win, but Garcia is not some fighters. His entire brand, the thing that makes him worth $500 million in the first place, is built on the idea that he does what he wants, he fights who he wants, he says what he wants, he posts what he wants. You take that away and you do not have Ryan Garcia. You have a very expensive marketing asset wearing Ryan Garcia's face. His team understood that immediately. But it gets worse. Buried inside the deal, past the fight structure, past the promotional rights, was a media and content clause. This clause gave the Saudi promotional group ownership and approval rights over Garcia's image for any boxing-related content produced during the contract window. Read that again. Any boxing-related content. His 47 million Instagram followers represent one of the most valuable organic audiences in combat sports. Every post, every video, every brand partnership tied to boxing, subject to approval by a committee in Riyadh. The man whose entire appeal is built on unfiltered, unscripted, uncontrollable energy was being asked to run his social media through a foreign promotional group's legal team. Garcia's representatives flagged both of these issues in the first formal contract review. They were not aggressive about it. They put their concerns on the table clearly and professionally and waited for a counter. The counter never came. Instead, the Saudi side did something that nobody on Garcia's team expected. But that's not even the most important part of the story, because what happened in the 48 hours after that first pushback, that's where the whole thing explodes. And this is where the real story, the one that no mainstream boxing outlet has booked together, finally comes out. When Garcia's team flagged the control clauses, the professional response would have been to come back to the table, offer a counter, adjust the terms. That is how legitimate promotional deals get done. That is how you close a $500 million contract with a fighter who has options. The Saudi promotional group did not do that. Instead, according to multiple sources close to the situation, they went around the team entirely. Within 48 hours of Garcia's representatives raising concerns, someone from the Saudi camp made direct contact with Garcia, not through his manager, not through his legal team, directly. Private messages, phone calls, an attempt to speak to the fighter without the people whose job it is to protect him. Let that sit for a second. You are trying to sign a fighter to the largest boxing deal in history. His team raises legitimate contract concerns, and your response is to bypass that team and go straight to the fighter? That is not a negotiating tactic. That is a red flag. That is someone telling you exactly how they plan to operate for 3 years if you sign with them. Garcia's manager found out within hours, and the response was not a strongly worded email. The team shut it down completely. Garcia was pulled from all further contact with the Saudi group. No more meetings, no more calls, no more Saudi representatives in any room where Garcia's name was being discussed. From that moment, the deal was dead. The public just did not know it yet. Now here is why that moment matters so much beyond the business mechanics. Think about Garcia's history. Think about what he has been through. He trusted people who let him down. He signed deals that did not protect him. He went through a Devin Haney fight where the aftermath, the suspension, the public fallout, cost him months of his career and a significant piece of his reputation. He rebuilt everything, slowly, painfully, by putting the right people around him and giving them the authority to do their jobs. The Saudi group, in their rush to close the deal, bypassed that entire structure in one move. They did not just break a contract negotiation, they broke trust with a fighter who has spent the last 18 months making trust the one thing he will not compromise on. Garcia's team said nothing publicly. No statement, no leak to the press, no angry comments on social media. Total silence. And to anyone who actually knows how Garcia's camp operates, that silence was the loudest possible answer. The promoters in Riyadh are in meltdown right now, not just because the deal fell through. They're in meltdown because they cannot figure out what went wrong. They offered $500 million. They did everything they thought they were supposed to do, and the fighter still walked. What they missed, what they fundamentally did not understand, is that Garcia's team was not selling access to a fighter. They were protecting a brand built on one thing that money cannot buy: trust. But here is what nobody is connecting right now, and once you see it, the entire picture shifts into focus. Step back. Look at all of it together. The control clauses, the image rights, the end run around his management, the total silence from Garcia's side. There is a pattern here that the boxing world is missing because everyone is too focused on the number. Garcia did not lose $500 million. He did something far more valuable. He put the Saudi promotional group through a pressure test, one of the most high-stakes pressure tests in sports business, and watched them fail it in 48 hours. He now knows exactly who they are, how they think, what they do when a deal is not moving fast enough. He got that information for free. No contract signed, no leverage lost, just clarity. And here's the part that connects everything. In the same 72-hour window that the Saudi deal was collapsing, Garcia's team was not sitting still. They were not grieving the lost payday. They were already in a different room, having a different conversation, a different promoter, a different structure, one built around the specific terms that the Saudi group refused to move on. Fight selection that Garcia's team controls, broadcast deals that expand his reach without locking down his image or his social media, a timeline that has him back in a major fight within 6 months against an opponent that his team chose. The details of that conversation have not gone public yet, but the shape of it is clear to anyone paying attention. Garcia did not walk away from boxing's future. He walked away from someone else's version of it, and he walked straight toward his own. Now think about what this means for the tribal audience, for the people who have been in Garcia's corner through every controversy, every headline, every moment where it looked like it might all fall apart. You were right about him. Not blindly right, not the way fans are right when they defend someone no matter what they do. Right in the specific way that matters. Right that Garcia, underneath all the noise, is someone who knows what he is worth. Someone who will not sign his name to something that costs him the thing that makes him valuable in the first place. The The promoters in Meltdown right now thought they were buying a fighter. What they actually found out is that Garcia is not for sale. Not at $500 million, not on terms that strip away the things that make the number make sense. And the person who figures out how to build a deal around what Garcia actually needs, around the control, the image, the trust structure, that person is going to make more money than the Saudi group ever would have. Because a Garcia who is free is worth more than a Garcia who is locked in a cage, no matter how much gold that cage is made of. The promoters in Riyadh paid nothing for that lesson. Not a single dollar changed hands, and they still got taken to school.
So now you have the full picture, and it is a lot more layered and a lot more interesting than the version you heard everywhere else. This was not Garcia self-destructing. This was not another impulsive move from a polarizing young fighter who cannot get out of his own way. This was a calculated decision made by a team that has spent 18 months rebuilding something fragile and important. And when the Saudi group threatened that thing, not with aggression but with carelessness, the answer was always going to be the same: walk and do not look back. Garcia did not lose $500 million. He protected something worth more than that. And the next move he makes, the promoter he signs with, the fight he takes, the opponent he chooses, is going to prove it. Now I want to hear from you, because this is genuinely one of the most divisive decisions any young fighter has ever made. Was Garcia right to walk away from $500 million and protect his team's trust? Or did he just leave the biggest opportunity of his career sitting on a table in Riyadh? Is this the move of someone who finally has it figured out? Or is this one mistake he will spend the next decade trying to recover from? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear from the real boxing fans, the ones who've been watching this story from the beginning and know what it actually means. If you want the full story on everything happening in boxing, before it hits mainstream media, before the hot takes, before the noise, hit subscribe. New video every single week. And next video, we are going inside the deal that Garcia's team is now reportedly close to finalizing. The promoter involved, the fight being targeted, and the opponent's name, when you hear it, is going to surprise you. Stay close.